figured out it was much better for me than the corporate world. And I grew it into a business. So we're now distributed to 180 stores across 27 states, all of the fresh market grocery stores. This year we're moving into a bunch of universities and other corporate stuff, which is pretty cool. We'll see how that pans out. It's just getting started. Yeah, it's been really good now. And so Corey brings them out here, y'all out here, so I could just share some lessons learned and some things I did right and things I did wrong, and I'll give you an opportunity to we'll walk around, we'll ask some questions. So when I went to my wife and I said, all right, honey, here's the deal. I want to leave the corporate world and I want to be a farmer. And not just any farmer, I want to be a honey farmer. You know, we had to put some guardrails on that. And one of the guardrails we put on it that was critical for us is operating the whole thing debt-free. So, because one, having debt hanging over your head is counterproductive to PTSD, anxiety. It's bad op. And two, it was better for my marriage that I didn't put the whole thing on the shooting match on the line. So that's what we've had to do. Now, the good news there is it has forced us to figure out other ways to do things. It's not always about going down to farm credit and taking out a loan. You know, there maybe you just got to get by with something a little bit different. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's yours, and that's what we've done. So one of the ways we've done that, and you'll see a lot of this stuff around here, is we've used what I think is probably your biggest underutilized veteran benefit, and that's the Veteran Small Business Enhancement Act. Okay, that's a federal law passed in 2018 that allows certified veteran-owned small businesses to get government surplus before it goes to auction.
Oh.
Okay, you may be familiar with like GovPlanet, GovDeals, things like that. This ain't that. This is no kidding. You take direct possession of it. So technically it's free. Technically. No, it goes through, it's a federal program administered by the states. And so the state surplus office has to actually process the paperwork and do everything. And so you got to pay them a service charge. It's a completely made up number, okay? And it's a little bit negotiable, but I'll give you some examples. Those quad cons over there, we get those for 150 bucks from Bragg. That center container there is that's our jelly kitchen. That was a Navy surplus shower trailer. We got that for $700.
Seriously?
Yeah. These gators, we get these gators for 250.
Is it
I did.
put in
Yeah, we
here
got-
and,
I listened to that.
Good. Yeah, so we get all these,
on the debt-free
and it's in
one?
here. So we get all these through that. And I think it's probably your number one underutilized benefit. I'll tell you, there's 38 veterans in the entire state of North Carolina signed up for it. 38. Less than 1,000 in the whole country have signed up for this. It's crazy. So excellent program. No one's using it. Now, one of the reasons people don't use it is it's the paperwork. All right, we'll just shut up and color.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can put in your packet for whatever and find the little old lady in tennis shoes to put your stuff in, you can do this. You just gotta have a little patience and use Google to answer the questions. The veterans certification process for this to be a veteran-owned small business was absolutely not set up for farmers. It was set up for people who want to do government contracting. So just deal with it. Answer their questions. Well, most of it will be not applicable, but you gotta ask the questions. But
I'm like, I'm not a crazy scientist. I know what I'm doing.
You might be slightly crazy.
I am. I'm like,
Pollinator? So this isn't his over here, the soybeans, that's what
no.
I was
He
like,
has tried and tried and tried to get it.
that is hilarious. Look at all those guys. Oh, well, here's your rain.
See, now I'm not thankful. Okay. Now I'm glad I could lay down. Hey.
Oh, you ever get
said that we can't do that, and I'm like, well, section 4, subsection C, paragraph 2 says I can. Can you tell me why that doesn't qualify?
So sad.
That's what I was thinking all day.
Oh, that's my
This is the smaller 2 rooms. This is our extraction room. Before we had this, we were doing this in a trailer, government surplus trailer. We did it at night because the bees were asleep. It was very, very inefficient. I mean, we would start like 8 o'clock at night, work all night long, and by dawn the bees showed up, you were done, whether you were done or not. It was what it was. Now we've got this in here, we can do it over a 2 or 3 day process. We roll the honey in here, we run the commercial dehumidifier, dry the honey down, and then we get more efficient. We just got to use it this spring for the first time, and we were like, man, that's so nice. We set the grill outside and grilled some food, had some beer while we're doing it. It became an event instead of a pain. And so this has been a big deal, but we didn't get there overnight. I mean, this is probably 20 grand worth of equipment sitting here. You just got to work through that. And it's got to be part of your concept operations and your business plan, because I think you didn't start with that. I started with a little bitty uncapping tank, much smaller extractor. Like year 2, I was still coming out of the extractor into a bucket through a strainer, and that was a horrid experience. I had honey just all over everything. It was terrible. And so then we had to buy some other stuff. I just cash flowed every year. And now I've got it. This equipment will be good for another 20 years. It's paid for. So it's just all profit now. That's what it is. One tip we figured out, and if you're going to build something like for doing stuff, there's the walls and ceiling of your facility. There's a couple ways you can do them. What a lot of people will do is a product called FRP. You guys know what that is, right? It's 4x8 sheets of plastic basically, and you have to put up liquid nail on the wall, and then you put them up and you roll them on. That works, but you gotta have OSB usually, and then liquid nail, and then doing that, that's a lot of work. We found this product here, these walls and ceiling, is called a product called truss core. It's the same size as a stud, so you just put it up, and then the flange is a nailing flange, and you screw it in, and then the next one goes in. So Lee and I did all of this by ourselves. And it's FDA approved, it's washable, it's easy to work with. I like it because it bends too, so when I run into it with something heavy, it kind of flexes. Instead of putting a hole in the wall. So something to think about. So especially if you're gonna do something like chicken processing, something like that, and you gotta have a room that you can wash down, this stuff is stupid easy. We were standing on top of each other. Now we've got this one in here, we can roll pallets in and out. We can fill, we can do everything we need to do right in here. We can move through a lot of honey in here very, very quickly now. We keep our warming tanks over there. Like I said, when full, we can do about 1,200 pounds in those. They're piped over here to our filling machine. Just press the button, it fills to 8 ounces or 16 ounces, the exact amount every single time. And
you set the machine for 8 or 16, whichever bottles you work on.
Yep. And then we cork them, put the shrink wrap over the top, and we'll fill this whole table up all the way back. And usually this one too, with corked and ready to go. And then we've got the conveyor belt to run through the shrink wrap. We used to do these with a Harbor Freight heat gun, one at a time. Until your arm went numb from the Harbor Freight heat gun because it vibrates. You'd be surprised. One at a time. So now we've got a conveyor, and we run these guys through here, and then that table turns. We'll put another guy over there, and they'll pull them off the table, throw them in the boxes, and then and wrap them and mark them. Yes, ma'am. Coolers. Why would you go pay full price for this thing? Done. Start thinking again. We have to feed our bees at least twice a year. I used to mix them all in 5-gallon buckets, and by the way, that'll break you off. We upgraded that 30-gallon feeder there, but it's just not enough for 70 hives because each hive will take down 5 gallons a piece in the fall. So what a lot of the large beekeepers do is they get those big IBC totes, and then they'll hook the trash pump onto it, and they'll fill the tote with sugar and water, and then they'll let the trash pump recirculate it. Well, I was like, man, but now I got an IBC tote. How do I get that IBC tote full of feed where I need to go? It's got to be on a trailer. Water buffalo. That's a 400-gallon stainless steel trailer, right? Tank right there. I just rigged that guy up. $200 to get those things. But even if you're not, you know, you're out someplace and you need to feed or water your livestock. You know, you know how many people I know can't figure out how to water their livestock because they don't have water out by the livestock? Yeah. That's how you do it. Cut your cost. Use stuff that's maybe not meant to do the things you were going to do with it. Figure out different ways to make that stuff happen. Reduce your risk. Make a plan that you can write down and understand.
These are the bees.
Sure. Other questions? Well, if you'll ever come up with a trade secret, especially in agriculture, it's such a huge market and it's so underutilized. I'm just blessed that we're in North Carolina. You know, North Carolina has a diversified agricultural organization where you can make money. I mean, you get up in the
Start.
Wow, that's awesome.
You would have to set the pallets down and carry everything out or pull stuff in and out or work out of his kitchen in his house. But that white truck we got, surplus